Hey, my name is Attorney Walter Rudolph Hnot III. I'm with Disability Resolution PA, an Orange County, Orlando-based Social Security disability law firm. Now, I've made zillions of videos on how disability law works, more than any other attorney out there. What I wanted to do is take a moment and go through another question. Now, I'm using a little crappy green screen because my big 30-footer I just put away because I'm going to be moving soon. But the next question is, you received an ALJ denial. What to do after the emotional breakdown? Some of you are really good at handling rejection or anger or, this general, oh my God, what do I do now? Everything's spinning, I'm freaking out. Some of you really know how to deal with that. That's great. But a lot of you don't. And especially those individuals that have mental capacity limitations such as PTSD, anger issues, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, schizoaffective disorders, whatever. It doesn't matter. You have issues with that stuff. So I wanted to take a moment to describe what should be your emotional roller coaster ride so that you can kind of get off the ride and take the next step to do the right thing. First off, most denials in the beginning are commonplace. A denial at the initial filing level and reconsideration level is super common. And that is because if you're under 55 and basically you don't have good evidence, then you're very likely to get a denial. So if you get initial filing denial or reconsideration denial, that's pretty commonplace. Also, if you get initial filing denial and then a reconsideration denial, or rather, if you get initial filing denial, you're more than likely to go ahead and also get what's called a reconsideration denial. That's just where another DDS rep looks at it, it's in another room, decides the claim, and we go from there. All right. So if the reasons they thought that you weren't disabled before are present, they're probably going to pick them up in the second round so long as nothing has changed. And a lot of you guys are very simple. You're like, did you go to any additional medical treatment? No. Have you had any additional problems? No. Did you go to the emergency room? Any prescriptions for wheelchairs, walkers, canes, whatevers? No. Boom. They're going to render a similar decision to the one before because nothing has changed as to your medical condition. You might be able to get an additional CE in there for a mental or physical, but at the end of the day, we'd have to see what your disabling condition is before it becomes a relevant thing to try and change the decision at recon. Because remember, they're just looking at the same evidence again, and that DDS rep is just going to make the same decision. Okay, so first one was realize that some denials are commonplace. Ergo, you shouldn't get upset. You might, but whatever. It is what it is. You're in control of your own emotional state, and if you're not, then I get it. But at the same time, I'm trying to help you here to explain so that you don't have a heart attack or whatever. Anyways, next point is this. The emotional knee-raising, just bitter, angry, how could they not understand feeling is so commonplace. Realize that they don't really know you. Okay? So when you're sitting there, you're just like, I really hate them because they've denied me as a human being. It reaches into that deep, deep level of how could they? I know I'm disabled. First of all, you don't actually know if you meet the standards for disability benefits, like the severity standards. You don't know that. You don't know how the law is. You don't know what it is. And even then, they could just deny you, because they didn't think about it hard enough. So my point to you is, okay, now that, you've gotten the denial, you do have, of course, your right to freak out and be upset and yada yada, but also realize they don't really know you. And if you don't have a lot of medical evidence, then they don't even have the background of the history, fact pattern that they write on those things. They don't have a bunch of diagnostic impressions to go ahead and review. They don't have a bunch of findings from the doctor, and they sure as heck don't have a bunch of medical imaging results or tests in general. Like a stress test or whatever, an MRI or an X-ray or a CAT scan or a CT scan or whatever. So the point is, they might not actually know who you are. So that personal, screw them, I can't believe they did this to me, that personal connection to it, they don't have that. So don't think that they're denying you as a person for who you are. Think of it as more in the sense of, they're denying the medical documentation, the legal, vocational, administrative, academia evidence that they have in front of you. That's what they're looking at. That's who they know. And if it's not built up and prepared in the proper manner, then, yeah, a denial is likely to happen. I mean, it's just how it is. Okay. Next thing. So we just talked about they don't know you personally, so don't take it that personal. Next thing. Don't be absolutely reliant on disability benefits to save your life. Once again, don't be absolutely reliant for disability benefits to save your life. When you invest everything that you have as a person into the potential for receiving a program that you might not get, at least right up front, it might take a little while for you to go ahead and get an approval, maybe at the ALJ level or whatever. When you invest all of that energy into it, what you do is you end up learning all of this bull crapperoo law. It's not law, from all of these people who don't know what they're talking about online. There's a lot of non-attorneys out there. And what happens is you then start to shift your life with how you live it in order to meet the fake elements that you think these people are, telling you about. And so the big point here is don't try to change your life to meet the disability standards unless an attorney tells you what elements you need to meet, equal, or exceed. There's a lot of people out there who will be found disabled and they won't know why, so they'll just make crap up to feel important to tell somebody, and then all of a sudden, none of it worked. They actually made it worse and screwed up their claim. So just keep that in mind. Let's see if we can do another 2 more as to what to do after the emotional breakdown. When it happens right away, don't call your family members. Don't put it online. Don't do the emotional, oh my God, what am I going to do? Yada. Take a moment and think about it. What happened? Because that'll begin the process for you getting off of the roller coaster and getting on to the, how do I organize this thing to win it, to do better, to know the elements, to obtain the prescriptions for the wheelchair walker, the special shoes, the special braces, whatever. It'll get you working in the right direction to actually know what it is that you need to accomplish to do a good job. And if you didn't have an attorney, maybe it'll be like a wake-up call to be like, hey, maybe I should get an attorney to go ahead and help me with this. So that's something else. Number 5, don't blame the SSA. Don't blame the SSA. You could blame your attorney. I always recommend that the person go ahead and do a self-assessment, which is sort of like blaming your side of the team. Like, how's my attorney doing? Did I go to enough medical? Does the medical show that I'm severely disabled? Did I get all the, ambulatory devices that I needed? Did I get all the prescriptions for medications that I needed? Or was I just a person that just sat there and didn't do anything? So I always say do a self-assessment. Maybe you were sitting there high on your horse saying, I am who I had one claimant one time who, he was a drug addict, real POS, and directly before the hearing, he told me, even if you don't win these benefits, I've been applying for 6 years now, and it was 12 years, and I've had like 3 or 4 attorneys. And if you don't win this claim, I don't really care. I'll just go get another one and just do it again. And that's because his parents kept feeding him money. But the arrogance of, now he would never go to medical or do anything. He would just basically get money from his parents, use drugs, and then become homeless and stay homeless. So this person had a very negative outlook, and he didn't do a self-assessment to go ahead and blame himself in part and his team in part. Now with that one, the real problem was not so much the attorney, not so much him. The real problem was the parents, because the parents kept enabling him to basically be a crackhead. So you'd see the same guy, over and over, coming to give him the yada yada, and the police never arrest him, because that's a whole other story about Orange County. But bottom line is, and it's a drug dealer that's known. I've seen many pictures of him. I've personally submitted information about how he's a drug dealer, and I wanted him arrested. Same kid, same dreads, same past couple of years, over and over, just different cars. Because the way they do it is basically they go ahead and find some young kid that's a drug addict and borrow that person's car to ride it up and down and go get people. When you see a drug dealer with a nice Porsche or Jaguar or a Mercedes or whatever, that's never their car. It's almost never their car. 99.9999% of the time it's not their car. Drug dealers are actually very poor individuals, and a lot of people don't realize that. They're extremely poor. They only have that vehicle because they basically, as per rent, give that kid drugs so that they can utilize the car. And, but the cops are finally doing a better job, and the sheriffs, with basically going after the people who lent them that car. When somebody lends a drug dealer that's a known drug dealer that has 4 charges against them, their car, then obviously somebody needs to go ahead and have a little review of that person lending the car. So that's finally starting to happen, and I'm happy with that as well. But those are the 5 things you should emotionally do, after you get a denial when it comes to disability benefits, because if you don't, you're going to be off on the emotional track of screaming and crying and worrying and freaking out and whatever. Sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it could be your attorney's fault. It could be the SSA's fault. It could be a medical expert's fault. It could be your own doctor's fault. It could be vocational expert's fault. It could be something that your family member said in a 3380, whatever, or somebody that you wrote down as a potential third-party contact that wrote something down that was moronic about you. It could be any one of those things. It could be somebody that saw you and sent in a letter to the SSA saying that you're not disabled because they saw you doing something that's not within the back limitations of what you would expect. It could be any one of those things. But with that said, those 5 things should get you closer to getting an approval than not, and professionally handling an emotional breakdown, so that you can go ahead and improve your odds of actually going forward and doing something better. And I will say this. There's a lot of good people out there that unreasonably get denied. They shouldn't get denied, they do. But there's a lot more bad people out there that do get denied that it's reasonable that they would get denied. If you're sitting there going like, well, I've got an alcohol problem, I got a drug problem, I got a smoking problem, I got this, if you're sitting there going like, but that's not going to affect me, I still deserve those benefits. Well, if you're claiming a COPD and you're still smoking, guess what you're going to get? A denial. And if that actually blows your mind, then there's a problem. Then you might be an idiot. And that's scary because, and I do like self-assessments now. Before I take on claimants, I'm like, okay, well, are you currently smoking? Yes. Well, do you feel that, what's one of your main conditions? Well, I've got really bad COPD. And I'm like, okay, well, are you still smoking even with that? Yes. Well, do you feel that the SSA will be able to give you benefits if you're still smoking being the thing that caused your COPD, that you're still doing it and enabling? And if they come back and they're like, absolutely, it's my right, I probably won't take the claimant because A, I don't need them, and B, they're just being an idiot because the emotional context of the person at the SSA is sitting there having to work a 9-to-5 job that they hate, sometimes usually more hours than that, is that, wow, this person continues to smoke, they're causing their own disabling condition, I can just easily put denied. And they will, and they'll do that all the time. So there are certain hot buttons. I can always do another video on that, but if you're that person that is like, it's my right, or you don't understand, or, or the other one, I can't do this, or this. Oh, okay. But then the next thing out of your mouth is, oh, but I do this, the exact same things for my man because my man is amazing. And I have to keep him, working and yada, yada, yada. There's so many things that I've heard throughout the years that are just, that make me cringe. They make me cringe, but it doesn't matter. You get the point. So we've just answered what you should do from an emotional standpoint, whatchamacallit, after you've had a denial. And I just want you guys to remember, look at what pieces of the puzzle need to be improved. A lot of you guys are really good at looking at the pieces of the puzzle that are great, and you're like, I've got this going for me. I've got this going for me. I'm good. But that's not how it works, man. You don't win something by being great at one piece of the 5 pieces you need. You win something by being, pretty darn good at all of those pieces. So just remember, break it down, figure out what the problem is, move forward, achieve, be a leader. That's what you are. You're a leader of your own disability benefits, and you're trying to obtain them. All right, my name is Attorney Walter Rudolph Hnot III. I'm with Disability Resolution PA, an Orlando, Orange County-based Social Security disability law firm. If you want the most up-to-date information, if you want a free consultation, if you want a custom video made about a particular topic that you like, that's fine. Shoot me an email or give me a call, and we will go from there and try and build this up. Now, if you leave me comments in the video section, I don't always get a chance to respond to those right away, and then when I go to that little thing that says like comment, if I ever click on that, they sometimes disappear, and then I can't find your damn comments because there's over 2,500 videos there. So just kind of an email is better, and keep it short, simple, and sweet. But like, do a good job with it. Like, if you're going to send me an email, don't send me like a 5-minute just spew of a hurricane of words. Break it down. Actually use, your thought process, figure out what the timeline is to what happened, and, You know, put it together for me. Brief it like I would expect some employee to do. Say, okay, well, what's the bottom line? Where are we at? Because, you know, if you want me to really do a good job and explain to you what's going on, you can't hide half the facts and make you look bad, and then me go ahead and tell you things, and you go, well, what about this that I didn't tell you 20 minutes ago, so now you've just spent 20 minutes telling me about. You know, hiding information from your disability attorney that they're going to end up having to deal with later is stupid. But anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Have a wonderful day, and we'll go from there. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye.